I have a direct question for you. Do you think the plow is good or bad for your farmland? You probably think it's an essential tool, something that's always been used, something necessary to prep the ground. And you're right, it's been used forever, but that doesn't mean it's actually good for the soil. Also because once it was different than the plow that we know today. Today I'm going to tell you an uncomfortable truth about the plow, a truth that will completely change the way you look at soil management. Hi, I am Alessandro De Luca, co-founder of Rendita Agricola. Together with my wife Valentina, we have guided over 3,000 students in building their agricultural independence. And one of the very first things we teach is this: the plow is not your friend, it's a false friend. What I'm about to tell you goes against everything you've ever heard. But that's exactly why it's worth listening to. Let's take a step back. Why is the plow the most widely used tool in farming? The reasons are simple. It cleans the field, it gets the ground ready for seeding by removing everything we don't want. It's a one and done deal. You don't have to go over the field multiple times. One pass with the plow and you're finished. You save time, fuel and labor. Then deep prep. It exposes weeds, roots to the sun so they die off. Everything seems to work perfectly. So what's the catch? The problem is that we are only looking at the immediate result. We are looking at what happens today, not what will happen in 1, 2 or 5 years. Because in the long run, the plow is literally killing your soil and also your finance. It's really important to understand this, and let me explain exactly what happens when you plow. I want to be very clear here because this is the part nobody tells you. The plow flips the soil 180 degrees. It takes the top layer and puts it at the bottom. Okay? It takes the deep layer and brings it to the surface. You might think, so what? I'm just mixing it. No, you aren't mixing it. It's not a recipe of pizza, alright? You are destroying an ecosystem. See, there are two types of microorganisms in the soil. Aerobic ones, which need oxygen and live in the top few inches. Then there are anaerobic ones, which live without oxygen deeper down. When you plow, you take the aerobic ones and bury them where there is no oxygen, so they die. You take the anaerobic ones and expose them to the air, so they die. In a single pass, you are decimating the life in your soil. And it doesn't stop here. When you flip the soil, you expose organic matter to the sun and air, it oxidizes and disappears. Your soil becomes poorer and less fertile every year. In fact, if you have been plowing for years, you have probably noticed something. Every year you need more fertilizer. Every year your plants yield a little less. Every year the ground feels harder and more compacted. That's not a coincidence, that's the effect of the plow. If it causes so much damage, why do we keep using it? The answer is simple, because it's fast. The plow lets you prep a field in a few hours, it gives you the illusion of control, bare, clean soil looks perfect, and in a short time it works. Also because the oxygen that we put on the air and everything. But it's like taking a drug that makes you feel good today but makes you sick tomorrow. The other reason, it's how it's always been done. The local farmer do it, your grandfather maybe did it, so you do it too. But just because something has been done for a long time doesn't make it right. It just means nobody stopped to ask, are we sure this actually works? And the answer is no, it doesn't work, at least not in the long run. Here is what's waiting for you if you keep plowing year after year. First of all, dead soil. Organic matter will vanish. Less organic matter means less water retention, fewer nutrients and less life. Fertilizer dependency, second one. The soil can no longer produce on its own. You have to feed it everything and more of it every year. Okay, third one. Compaction, the plow pen, is an hard, impermeable layer forms right at the depth where to the plow passes. Roots can go down and water won't drain. Okay, it's an ecosystemic problem. Another one is erosion. Bare, structureless soil gets carried away by rain and wind. You are literally losing your land. Another one, skyrocketing costs. More fertilizer, more labor, more problems, all while your yields drop. So, what's the alternative? Do you just let the weeds take over? Of course no. There is an alternative and it works better. It's called conservation agriculture or regenerative agriculture. In our case, we called the BSC method. So the principle is simple. Don't flip the soil. Don't destroy what nature has built. Instead of plowing, you only work the top few inches. You use tools that steer the soil without flipping it. Tools that cut weeds without burying them. Tools that aerate without mixing the layers. And you always keep it covered. Straw, cover crops, crop residue. Of course, it depends on your crops and what you are doing, of course, because in a small scale we use different technique than in large scale business, of course. Something that protects the ground, this is the meaning, okay? Feeds the microorganisms and retains moisture, okay? The result? Living soil. Soil that improves every year instead of getting worse. Soil that produces more with fewer inputs. It costs you less and earns you more. In our BSC method, biosynergistic conscious, soil management is fundamental. We don't say never work the soil, okay? There are some techniques without working the soil and they are very good, but we say work it the right way when you need, at the right time, with the right tools. There are the opportunities, okay? There's not only the plow, and in most cases the plow is not the right tool. This requires knowledge, of course. You need to understand not just the mechanism but the biology. Most farmers know either the machines or the biology. Rarely both. We combine the two. Everything I've told you today is just one piece of the puzzle. Soil management is just one part of the BSC method. There is also fertility management, crop selection, marketing, sales, etc. It's a complete soil to market approach, and you know the best part? It works. We have dozens of testimonials right here on our channels from students who have transformed their land and their businesses using this approach and without using the plow. So if a light bulb went off for you today, I have great news, because in the description below you'll find a link to dive deeper into the full BSC method. I'm not selling you anything, I'm telling you, if you keep doing what you have always done, you'll keep getting what you have always got. Poor soil, high costs and low yields. If you want different results, you need a different approach and a more sustainable approach for you and for the environment and for your pocket, for your economics, right? So click the link in the description, take your time and watch the testimonials, see if it's right for you. If you have questions, leave them in the comment. And if this video gave you a new perspective, give it a like. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.